Your Excellency Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, representatives of the diplomatic force, government officials, distinguished guests, dear members of press, dear Rector and member of IUS Board of Trustees, dear academics and administrative staff, dear students, dear friends, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome to International University of Sarajevo. We are pleased and honored to have the opportunity of welcoming and presenting the award to an extraordinary man, a great politician and a friend of Bosnia and Herzegovina, His Excellency Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. Besides having the pleasure of listening to His Excellency's lecture later on the role of education in developing countries, I'm pleased to announce that 4 awards will be given to His Excellency today. An award and a gift from the International University of Sarajevo, a certificate of appreciation from the Prime Minister and the government of Canton Sarajevo, a certificate of appreciation from the Mayor of the New Town municipality, and an award from IUM Alumni Foundation from Tun. To begin, I would like to invite IUS Rector, Prof. Dr. Özer Çınar to the stage to deliver his opening speech. Professor Çınar.
Your Excellencies, Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, dear Ambassador, dear Prime Minister, dear Rectors, dear distinguished guests, dear academicians, students, friends, and media representatives. Dear ladies and gentlemen, it is such a great honor to welcome you all today to this extraordinary event at the International University of Sarajevo. We are very pleased that we have today welcomed the distinguished guest. Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad is one of the most influential political figures in the modern history of the world. Indeed, it is impossible, it's just a few intro sentences present an amazing life experience and political career of Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. I believe you all will agree with me that in order to give introduction of our dear guest, we should really need much more time. In his presence in political life of Malaysia and on the world political scene as well, last over 40 years. During his long career, the Dr. Tun Mahathir Mohamad gave a strong imprint, serving as a Prime Minister of Malaysia about 20 years. He is exceptional international activist who is back in 90s and anxiously wore international community on injustice and oppression in this country. He is a proven friend of Bosnia and Herzegovina who really helped a lot, and also he has earned immense respect from the people of this country. I have to mention his generous help in providing scholarships to the young people from Bosnia and Herzegovina who earn their education in the distance but very warm and friendly Malaysia. As a rector, I am very proud of many graduates from Malaysia are working at the International University of Sarajevo. In recognition of his significant support and care towards the Bosnia and Herzegovina, the late Bosnian President Ali Izetbegovic presented the nation's higher award, the Dragon of Bosnia Award, to the Prime Minister Dr. Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad in Sarajevo in April 1996. Please allow me to express my gratitude since the International University of Sarajevo becomes part of unbreakable bond of respect and understanding between those two countries. Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad has done and so much to make that distance disappear. And the people of Malaysia are very close to the people of the Bosnia and Herzegovina. At the end of the brief introduction of respected, the guest, I would like to say thank you to Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad and welcome to our university. Thank you.
Professor Çınar, thank you very much for your speech. Ladies and gentlemen, as our rector previously mentioned, there are many things that could be said about His Excellency Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, but unfortunately today we won't have enough time. The time will not allow us to make a detailed resume. So before I call His Excellency to the stage to deliver his lecture on the role of education in developing countries, I'll just briefly mention a few of the very important things he has done during his work as the Prime Minister in Malaysia. So as you already know, the greatest part of his work period, he was actively involved in politics. He was the longest serving Prime Minister of Malaysia, during whose term the country experienced rapid modernization and economic growth. The religious and ethnic tendencies were removed and constitutional changes and reforms of the educational system were made. Dr. Mahathir was one of the most prominent political figures of Asia and around the world, and his influence is even felt today. In his international activities, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad was an advocate of the Third World development, a prominent international activist for the causes such as the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa and the interest of Bosnians in the 1990s Balkan conflict. He proved his friendship towards the Bosnian people by participating actively as an ambassador of peace in diffusing the conflict and later in the reconstruction and development of our country. To this day, he's very active in this role and by connecting Bosnia and Herzegovina through international economic projects. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome His Excellency Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The Rector at the International University of Sarajevo, His Excellencies, Ambassadors, the teaching staff of the university, students, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Firstly, I would like to thank the university for this invitation to come here and I'm told to receive some awards. But my main function here is to give a talk on education. I have always been close to the educational policies in Malaysia, having been a member of the university's council, and I have always believed that education is the way for people to achieve greater impact on society. In Malaysia, first priority is given to education. Fortunately, we didn't have to spend much money on the military because we don't expect to be invaded by anyone. But education has been allocated as much as 25% of the national budget, which is a very big figure indeed. We have students not only in Malaysia but also all over the world. Wherever there is a facility for studying, you'll find Malaysians are there to study. We have Malaysian students in Ukraine, in Russia, in Belgium, in the whole of Europe, of course in Britain, America, New Zealand, Australia, Canada, and many other countries, including of course those who study religion will go to Egypt and Saudi Arabia. So Malaysians place a very important, a great deal of importance on education because we wish to develop our country. In order to develop our country, we need expertise, and we want to have homegrown expertise. We do not want to depend upon other people. As you know, Malaysia was colonized by the British for almost 100 years. During that time, few Malaysians had opportunity to study up to university level. Mostly were given education so as to fit in with the administrative needs of the colonial government. We didn't have many professional people. We didn't have enough doctors, lawyers, engineers, architects, etc. So upon attaining independence, our first priority was to give education, to give more knowledge to our people. And so we spent a lot of money on giving scholarships and sending people to other countries, because under the British we did not even have even one university. Anybody who wants to study has to go abroad, and that is very expensive. So the moment we became independent, we set out to make university education available to as many people as possible. And for this, we provided a lot of scholarships. We, under the British, we use English as the teaching medium. And most of the universities in the British Empire at that time, of course, used English. And many of our students go to British universities, Australian, Canadian, and New Zealand, etc. But over time, we have also to send to other places, because university education in England was becoming very costly. So we send our students to even to Ukraine and to many other countries where the teaching medium is not always English. Nevertheless, our people were prepared to learn in order to get the necessary qualification in order to contribute towards the development of the country. Today we have, hundreds of thousands of students studying abroad. In the meantime, we have upgraded our educational facilities in Malaysia. Today, we have about 20 government universities, about 60 private universities, and about 300 institutions of higher learning. So there is a lot of places for students wanting to study up to university level, but even then we still need to send our students abroad, because the facilities at home is not sufficient for the demand for education by Malaysian students. Malaysian parents are very, very keen on getting their children educated, and because of that they are quite ready to save money in order to give their children university education. So Malaysians have a literacy rate of almost 96%, and a lot of the people have university education at this present time. Because of our people having the required knowledge, we were able to make progress in many areas. For example, we have a lot of hospitals manned entirely by Malaysians. They were quite well accepted, and many of them have postgraduate education in other countries, but now Malaysian universities can provide postgraduate teachings in medicine and in other areas, professional areas. The contribution made by the These qualified people is considerable. They are not only qualified, but they are willing to work and in the private sector as well as in the government. We started off industrializing with labor-intensive industries. People were required to work mainly to assemble products that were given to them. But now we expect to see more investment in high-tech industries, especially in IT, information technology. And for this, we need special knowledge, and we have made provision for our people to be trained in all the new sciences and the development in the IT world. Because of that, we are able to man all our institutions, all our government requirements with trained Malaysians. And as you know, we are also providing education for other countries. We have about 100,000 foreign students studying in Malaysia, including Bosniaks who have come to study at the International Islamic University. I noticed some of them greeting me in Malay. Of course, they didn't learn Malay at all in Malaysia. When they go to the university, they learn in English. English is still very much the medium of instruction, although at the primary and secondary level, we teach in the local language, the Malay language. But when they go to the university for their first degree, they may be studying in the Malay language, but for tertiary level, they need to know, they need to be able to understand English. One of the things about English is that if the country's labor force and professionals understand English, it is much easier for foreign direct investment. Even if the investors come from Japan or Korea, they still need to teach or to give instructions in English. Although the people are not very fluent in English, but they understand English, and because they understand English, people tend to invest more in Malaysia because they can give instructions to their staff in English. And of course, this results in our staff learning and acquiring skills and knowledge so that they themselves can now do business or even manufacture simple products by themselves. So the country grew basically because we spend a lot of money on education. Education is something that does not lend easily to commercialism. It's very difficult to make money out of setting up universities. Although we still have private universities in Malaysia, and somehow they seem to be able to make ends meet. But normally the cost of education is very high, and it is growing very high all the time. So when we give scholarships, for example, we need to top up and give more as the cost of education go up. Now, when we found that not many Malaysian parents could send their children abroad to study, we decided that we should have a special arrangement so that they can study for foreign degrees, but in Malaysia, by having what we call a twinning arrangement with a foreign university. They can do the first 2 years of their training in Malaysia, and they will go to a foreign university to do their final years, and they get a degree from these foreign universities. This was done because the demand for education is so big, and people cannot always be given scholarships, but their parents were able to afford education in Malaysia, but they cannot afford to send their children all the time for the full 3 years or 4 years to foreign universities. By having this twinning arrangement, they do their first 2 years in Malaysia and then only they go abroad. That means the cost of education for Malaysians has been much reduced. In addition, the institutions in Malaysia which twins with the foreign recognized universities, they themselves were able to reach high standards, and eventually they all became universities in Malaysia. So that is why there are so many private universities in Malaysia, and Malaysians need not go abroad to study at whatever level. Perhaps doctors who need to study certain special fields may still have to go abroad, but all the rest need not go abroad because the facilities are available at home up to postgraduate level. So this means that more Malaysians can get good education and can become professionals without having to spend too much money. But all the time the cost of education is going up, and we need to provide some kind of support by the government through giving more scholarships. Apart from the government, of course, there are other businesses and institutions which provide scholarships. For example, the National Petroleum Company called Petronas, they, of course, they make quite a lot of money from petroleum business, and they provide a lot of scholarships. At the same time, they have set up their own university in Malaysia, and the standards are recognized throughout the world. So education, as you can see, is a way of upgrading the capacity of a nation. And because our capacities have been enhanced through education, Malaysia has been able to develop much faster than many of the other countries which became independent together with us. Because of the education being in English, they are also able to find work and to do business abroad. Whether we like it or not, English has become the lingua franca for the whole world. Even Japanese, Koreans have to learn, have to use English in order to do business abroad. And because our people have fairly good command of English, people tend to come to Malaysia because they can speak directly with government officials and business people without having to use an interpreter. I have sometimes to use interpreters, and it is very unsatisfactory, I must say, because I don't know whether what I say is properly translated or not into the language that is being used. So for education, we still need English in order to gain access to the latest knowledge available. For example, today most of the findings in science and technology come to us in English, and we cannot translate into our language. So if we are already familiar with English, we are educated in English, then you can gain access to the latest knowledge directly without having to ask somebody to translate the papers for you. I understand that this university is using English, and I think it is a good move, because you will be more readily employed when you graduate from a university which uses English as the teaching medium. So I do hope that the students here appreciate the importance of education and the importance of the English language. We are not English people, but still we have a need to master that language because of the universal necessity for using English in our relations with other countries. Above all, science and math should be taught in English because science and math are quite different from subjects like geography or history. With geography or history, the contents do not change very much. But with science and mathematics, there will be lots of new discoveries, and these discoveries come to us not in our language but in the English language, so that if we master English in our universities and schools, we would have access to the latest knowledge on science and technology, and this will enable a country to move forward much faster. So I would like to say thank you very much for this opportunity to speak on a subject that is close to my heart. I have been a Minister of Education. As first time I became a minister in the government, I was Minister of Education. Of course, subsequently I became Minister for Trade and Industry and the rest. But education has been an eye-opener for us, and if Malaysia is recognized as a country that has made progress, much of that progress is due to A, the acquisition of knowledge, B, the mastery of the English language. So I am sure that this university will contribute much to the students, whether they are from Bosnia and Herzegovina or from other countries, because the teaching is done in English. That is all. I thank you.
Thank you very much for your address. You can stay with me right at the stage. We shall begin with the award ceremony. So it's a very special day and a time, a second important issue, and an event at the International University of Sarajevo. Based on the award committee report and the decision brought by the Senate, I think we shall wait for Your Excellency, Tun Dr. Siti Hasma Muhammad Ali, thank you very much for making your presence today as well. It's a pleasure to see both of you here today. So we shall begin with the award ceremony. Based on the award committee report and the decision brought by the Senate of the International University of Sarajevo on May 16, 2013, IUS decided to present a Lifetime Achievement Award to His Excellency Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad for being a role model and a source of inspiration for the youth of Bosnia and Herzegovina in education and science. I would like to invite IUS Rector, Prof. Dr. Özer Çınar, to give the award to His Excellency. Thank you very much. To continue, I would like to invite the member of the IUS Board of Trustees, Professor Dr. Asif Shabanovic, to present the gift as a token of his appreciation to His Excellency for making his presence today. Thank you, Professor Stevanovic. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to announce an additional award to be presented to His Excellency Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad by His Excellency the Prime Minister of Canton Sarajevo, Mr. Suat Zeljković, entitled Prime Minister and the Government of Canton Sarajevo award the certificate of appreciation to Dr. Mahathir Mohamad for selfless contribution to development of peace and tolerance and promotion of economic development in Bosnia and Herzegovina. His Excellency would like to say a few words also.
Ja znam da je dr. Mahathir primio bezbroj nagrada.
Prime Minister Zeljković is aware that you have received numerous awards.
Ali mi u Sarajevu i kantonu Sarajevo želimo da pokažemo svijetu da osoba koja je
in Canton Sarajevo and the city would like to show to the world basically that the Canton Sarajevo
osoba koja je više od 50 godina saputnica, životna saputnica njegove zahvalnicu građana i zamolit ću
Thank you very much. As our second distinguished guests, we have the mayor of the Newtown municipality, Mr. Samir Efendic. He will be presenting a certificate of appreciation to His Excellency for rebuilding the primary school Osnovna škola Čarlik Sjerić during his mandate as the Prime Minister.
Dear Rector, Dr. Mahathir, His Excellencies, students, others, I would like to add a few words. First, there is a school in Novi Grad municipality which has been totally destroyed during the war in Bosnia, and it has also been reconstructed in 90s by support by Malaysian government when Prime Minister was Tun Dr. Mahathir, and this is a good chance to thank him. There is still Malaysian flag together with Bosnian, and it will stay there forever. As a Malaysian student, as someone who got scholarship from Malaysian government, as the youngest mayor in Bosnia, I will say a few words about Malaysia today. I will stay forever impressed by this country, this Asian tiger, this economic miracle. You have to see that country. It's for me, it's very hard to explain anything about this country. I can say only that I will love this country forever. But I know that behind all of this there is one man. It's Tun Dr. Mahathir.
Ladies and gentlemen, as our third guest, I'm equally pleased to invite the chairman of the IIUM Alumni Foundation, Mr. Dr. Shaifu Aziz bin Zainal Abidin. He will be presenting the Lifetime Leadership Award on behalf of the IIUM Foundation. Thank you very much. Well, we've come to a closure of the event. Please, if you like, have a seat, Your Excellency. We've come to a closure of this event. We once again thank His Excellency Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, his wife, for honoring us with their presence and for accepting the award presented to him. We also thank the Prime Minister Zeljković, the Mayor Efendic, IIUM Foundation, Chairman of the IIUM Foundation, Mr. Abidin, for choosing IUS as a place to meet and award His Excellency with certificates of appreciation and a Lifetime Leadership Award. We wish our honorable guests a pleasant stay in the city of Sarajevo and a safe trip home. Ladies and gentlemen, please follow all the activities of the International University of Sarajevo. We will be pleased to welcome you to all the other occasions we may organize here. To avoid the crowd during the exit, please exit one by one. The left door is used for VIP and VVIP guests. So for those sitting on the left side, I kindly ask for a few minutes of your patience and a favor of exiting after our distinguished guests. For the ones who are sitting in the middle of the amphitheater and the others on the other side, please use the right exit. So, thank you very much for attending.